Hey there, Grapevine community. My name is Dennis Becker, and I'm the founder and CEO of Mobivity Holdings Corporation. At Mobivity, we believe every brand can operate as effectively as e-commerce giants like Amazon. So we've analyzed billions of point-of-sale transactions across direct marketing programs touching more than 100 million consumers to develop our Recurrency software-as-a-service platform as the industry's first cloud-based solution focused on driving consumer frequency and spend specifically for brick and mortar. We have initially targeted the $35 billion restaurant marketing industry and have won notable brands including Subway, Papa Gino's, Chick-fil-A, Sonic Drive-In, and many others. And we're now looking at adjacent verticals including grocery, convenience stores, and personal care. We've also partnered with Google in advancing mobile messaging for businesses, and we were tapped by Pepsi to help form their Digital Lab initiative. Headquartered in Phoenix, Arizona, with a data science team in Halifax, Nova Scotia, we trade under the ticker symbol MFON. We believe that the current pandemic is accelerating the transformation to digital everything, and we're proud to report 51% year-over-year revenue growth through the first half of this year. Thanks again for your interest in our company, and I hope you'll learn more by checking out our full presentation. Hello, and welcome to the Mobivity Investor Presentation. My name is Dennis Becker, and I'm the founder and CEO, and I'm excited to tell you more about how Mobivity is helping brands with digital transformation. First and foremost, our safe harbor statement before we dive right in here. So I think everyone would agree that there's a lot changing very rapidly given the global pandemic and all of the ways that society is changing not just personal behavior, but ways of doing business. In our world, this is called digital transformation. And really what that means is taking all of the analog ways of doing business and figuring out how technology can help with low contact to no contact ways of doing business, virtualization, and then also optimizing costs and being more efficient and effective given that budgets are tighter and there's never been greater uncertainty in a variety of markets. If you look across the space, it seems like this digital transformation topic is capturing headlines everywhere. I think Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft, put it best when he stated that as COVID-19 impacts every aspect of our work and life, we've seen 2 years worth of digital transformation in 2 months. And that's an important point. At Mobivity, we've been helping brands for a while change the way that they market and engage consumers to drive higher traffic and frequency using digital tools. But that's been somewhat of a slow process as brands have had the luxury of taking their own time in adopting new technologies, while a lot of traditional marketing techniques such as television, radio, and print have still had a lot of inertia in remaining a large portion of the budgets that brands spend in marketing to consumers. And what we saw with the pandemic was that practically overnight, a lot of these analog channels were essentially turned off. Sports advertising, which is a big channel for restaurants and other brands, was essentially put on pause beginning in March and April. So what we've seen is that the brands that had already been aggressively pursuing a digital transformation of their business, when we think of brands like Domino's and Chipotle and others that have put very sophisticated smartphone apps and built text messaging programs and email relationships, etc., as a larger part of their marketing spend, they've performed fairly well, while a lot of markets and businesses have suffered. And that's where Mobivity comes in. So we've been a part of this evolution, but now we think it's an extinction level event. So to give a quick overview of who we are, our technology is deployed in over 40,000 locations across 6 countries around the globe. We've engaged over 20 million unique consumers, and we've driven over 1 billion engagements between consumers and brands aimed at increasing guest frequency and spend. We really started to see an interesting inflection point developing at the beginning of this year, Pre-COVID in the first quarter, our year-over-year quarterly revenue growth for the first quarter was up 88%. We also operate majoritively a recurring revenue stream through a SaaS-based business model where we charge businesses an annual or a monthly licensing fee to use our cloud-based technology. And we also enjoy software-like gross margins, 65% gross margins in the first quarter, and we think we can continue to improve upon that. We serve a number of major brands such as Sonic, Subway, Chick-fil-A, and others, majoritively in the restaurant space where we have focused our initial go-to-market. We've also attracted a number of high-profile partnerships. We are partnered with Google in their effort on transforming mobile messaging on the Android platform for businesses. And we've also partnered with Pepsi recently in the formation of their digital lab as their partner in helping them deliver digital marketing tools to their restaurant customers. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about the problem that we solve. So I think that this is exemplified in this day and age where we're seeing e-commerce and the virtualization of businesses really take the take front and center in how businesses are operating and transacting business to their consumers. So before, and particularly in the restaurant space, a lot of this was brick and mortar. Consumers would visit stores, and now a lot of that's moving to online purchases with in-store pickup or delivery. In fact, a couple of interesting stats here: 840% increase in weekly dining sales via online ordering. So online ordering has really become a hot topic in the restaurant space. 129% year-over-year growth in US and Canadian e-commerce orders. And even Target is talking about how it seems like they've gotten 2 years faster in terms of their expectations for consumers adopting e-commerce. And what that means is that consumers are going to expect that Amazon-like experience. Obviously Amazon has perfected e-commerce, but there's a reason that they've gotten so good at it. They focus on driving personalized engagement to consumers. So in other words, consumers are presented with items that they might like, and Amazon is always striving at making sure that their customers get what they want. And they're using data to figure all that out. They also make the purchase experience very easy. And the issue with a lot of brick and mortar brands, and again, brick and mortar versus e-commerce, brick and mortar is still 80% of our economy. You still have to take your car to get your oil changed. Food still has to be prepared. There are a lot of businesses that just can't move to the full virtual environment. And when you look around and kind of survey the state of affairs for brick and mortar, they have a number of differences to e-commerce business models. First and foremost, a pure e-commerce play has one storefront. There's one website at Amazon and one storefront that consumers make purchases through. In the brick and mortar world, you take, for example, one of our customers, Subway. They operate over 40,000 storefronts across the globe. These are physical locations with physical point of sale terminals where the order ultimately has to be processed because that's where the food and the product has to be prepared. So this is a huge fragmentation problem where the data of all these shopping carts from all these transactions is living in thousands of devices. So just getting all of that information organized and in one place and actionable so that you can build personalized and data-driven experiences is a challenge. You then have a consumer that is engaged through all sorts of channels versus when they're online, it's essentially the web browser. A consumer out in the real world might see a billboard, might see a television ad. Mostly they're looking at their mobile phone. And what you'll see as I describe more about our business, we're very focused on mobile. The mobile device ends up being the digital channel of engagement to all consumers out in the real world. But it also poses a number of challenges because the mobile phone is used for a number of things, from personal communication to social networking to payments to entertainment. And so the consumer through their mobile device is also tough to reach as they use it for a number of utilities. So this creates a huge fragmentation problem where brands are having to cobble together multiple disconnected point solutions without the ability to unify and normalize point of sale transaction data to bring data, attribution, and personalization to customer engagement. And that's the big problem that we solve. We solve this problem via our Recurrency cloud-based solution. This is a cloud-based software platform that, if you look at this slide and you study the schematic, really starts with the data. And on the left side of this slide, you can see that we're really focused on, first and foremost, bringing all of a brand's data together in one place so that you can perform analytics, personalization, that you can organize that information. There's all sorts of challenges in bringing all of that information together. We then create these virtual wallets, essentially, for consumers. And that allows the brand, and if you look at on the right-hand side of this slide, this really puts Mobivity at the center of all the brand's marketing activities. By setting up these virtual wallets, this allows for us to start accumulating point of sale data. In other words, all of the purchases around known and potentially unidentified consumers, so that the brand can then execute targeted and optimized marketing engagements proven to drive higher guest frequency and spend. A number of these programs we operate directly for the brand, such as text messaging based programs where the consumer subscribes to receive mobile coupons over text messages. We also are able to provide targeted, real-time targeted advertising on the printed receipt at the point of sale when the consumer is checking out. And then because these virtual wallets can be integrated with all of the brand's other channels, such as their Facebook page, their smartphone app, their email program, we sit at the center of all of these other marketing programs the brand might be executing against. And again, this platform we deliver to the brand in the form of a recurring licensing fee. So as you've probably already figured out, the restaurant space is a big market for us. In fact, it's our initial target vertical, and we believe that there's a lot of scale to be had given the sheer size and scale of the restaurant market. When you think about the restaurant market, in the United States, there's about $800 to $900 billion of sales generated annually through business done at restaurants. And what we know is that most restaurants, on average, spend about 5% of their revenues on marketing. We also know that thus far, the bulk of our customers' market or budgets to applied to paying for our software and our technology has come from the marketing budgets. And so what this means is there's approximately a $35 billion addressable market just in the restaurant space for our products and services. And if you look across a couple of our existing customers, such as Subway, Chick-fil-A, or Sonic, combined, these brands already spend over $1 billion a year on marketing. So when we're marketing and selling our Recurrency platform to the restaurant space, we're focused on selling to the marketers at these brands, which collectively combine for a very large addressable market. And I'd like to point to our progress just over the last couple of years. We beta tested our Recurrency platform with Subway in late 2015, which led to an enterprise agreement in 2016 that culminated in the deployment to all 25,000 domestic locations at Subway. We've since expanded into Canada, as well as the UK and Ireland. So from 2016 to 2019, we've grown considerably in the number of restaurant locations that our products have been deployed to. Going forward, we're really looking at adjacent markets such as personal care, retail, media, convenience stores, grocery. There's a number of other markets where we can help brands transform their customer relationships to digital-first relationships, and help them use data to optimize their marketing results. We plan to get to these markets using a combination of sales channels, technology partnerships, and integrations. So our software platform is also capable of integrating with other systems that a brand might be using, such as Salesforce for CRM or Adobe Marketing Cloud. There's a number of different use cases where our product can help other systems with a brand, and that opens up technology and product partnerships whereby we can gain access to other markets. Our revenue model is very straightforward. We charge a recurring licensing fee. This is in the form of typically 1 to 5 year agreements. For smaller brands, it might be monthly agreements, but it's really recurring licensing fees. There might be some one-time development and deployment costs that we charge up front, but the bulk of our relationships with our customers are in the form of contracts with recurring licensing fees associated to them. In some cases, we might have usage fees for some of the volume-based features of our products, such as loyalty membership or text messaging volume, but that's usually in the form of an incremental fee above the base recurring licensing fee. With regards to our recurring licensing fees, we've had great traction over the last couple of years, growing to around $11 million in recurring licensing fees in 2019. I think more importantly, since we've worked with such large and prestigious brands early, which had massive scale, we're very excited to see a growing trend in the pricing power that we're getting from our product. So, obviously with some of our earlier adopters and given the scale of our early adopters, such as Subway, we charge favorable licensing fees. And we typically architect the licensing fees around the number of locations that a brand operates. And so we use a key performance indicator of what we call average annual revenue per location. And that's what this graph on the right depicts. And what it shows here is that has been trending upwards. In other words, the amount of revenue that we're making on a per location basis with our existing customers has been growing. And more recently, the price that which we can charge for our software on a per location basis has been increasing. And most of that's been because we have a number of case studies now that are publicized that prove the ROI. Our customers ranging from Subway to Papa Gino's to Sonic have all been generous enough to publicize the great success that we've had in driving results for their brands. So that's giving us pricing power. We've also learned a lot over the last few years from our customers and have added value-added features to increase the overall value of the platform, which has allowed for us to charge higher fees. As I described at the beginning of the presentation, we really saw a nice jump in quarterly revenues to kick off this year right before the pandemic hit. In fact, our first quarter revenues of $4.6 million were a nice growth rate over last year. Our gross margins also grew considerably, upwards of 65%. And our net loss decreased dramatically as well. And we're very proud of those results. And we continued to build on that going into the second quarter, where in the second quarter, our revenues increased 14% to $2.8 million compared to $2.4 million in Q2 of 2019. Our gross margins increased by 69% to 56% in Q2 of 2020 versus 33% during the same period last year. Our gross profit rose 92% to $1.56 million in Q2 of 2020 from $808,000 in Q2 of 2019. And our net loss narrowed by 72% to a loss of $726,000 compared to a loss of $2.6 million in Q2 of 2019. And, cash is king. And we were very proud that, in the first half of this year, cash used in operations fell to just $167,000 compared to $2.6 million for the same period last year. We've got an awesome team at Mobivity. There are decades of combined experience from startups to billion-dollar enterprises across a number of name brands, heavy in the digital marketing, wireless, and mobile industries. Myself, the founder of the company, I've published several patents. I've led the charge on all of our large brand deals with Subway and Sonic and others, forging our partnership with Pepsi and Google. Lynn Tescareno, our CFO, she's got a couple decades worth of accounting experience. Started off at Price Waterhouse, has CFO experience in other publicly traded companies. Anthony Rosano, our Chief Technology Officer, publisher of a handful of messaging patents, has spent the last 15 years of his career pioneering mobile technology. Jeff Griffith, our EVP of Product Management and Engineering. Jeff led a multi-billion-dollar division at Alcatel, serving large enterprise accounts across the globe. And Chuck Moxley also spent a number of years in digital marketing and has grown a number of businesses across the space. In conclusion, we believe Mobivity is well positioned to capture the acceleration to everything digital. We've built a market-leading mobile messaging software as a service platform that's reached over 20 million unique consumers, driven by a data and analytics platform fueled by billions of transactions and consumer engagements. And we sit in the unique intersection of both digital and the brick and mortar worlds, where we can facilitate and track both online and in-store transactions and provide unique value. We're pursuing a large total addressable market that can span multiple industries, and we've proven we can serve the world's biggest and most well-known brands, ranging from Pepsi to Subway, Baskin-Robbins, and partners like Google and others. We're also levered to grow through expansion among our current customer base and into other segments of the industries we're serving, with the ability to provide our services downstream to smaller and medium-sized businesses. I want to thank everybody for joining us and learning more about Mobivity, and thank you for attending our presentation.
All right, so now we have some questions from the Little Grapevine community that I'd like to answer here. The first question is, who are your typical customers? Mobivity's typical customers appreciate how online businesses like Amazon have taken industries by storm through the use of data to engage consumers in a more personalized and measurable way than ever before. Our customers predominantly operate businesses in the real world, where consumers aren't all buying through one channel like your web browser, but rather several channels such as their mobile phone, physical stores, etc. Our customers also operate several store locations, unlike Amazon, who only operates a single website. So again, our customers are typically looking to mimic the success of Amazon and other online businesses, but are challenged with all of the different channels that their customers can buy from, as well as all of the other traditional channels of marketing like TV, print, and other forms of marketing that offline consumers might be engaged through. The industries that we primarily serve at this point, we've made great progress in the restaurant industry with customers like Subway, Chick-fil-A, Baskin-Robbins, and others. We have gotten a beachhead into the personal care space, where we've worked with retail hair salon brands like Cost Cutters, Supercuts, Smart Style, which are the retail hair salon brand in Walmart. And then we are also seeing demand from the convenience store space, where our sales pipeline is really starting to become heavily slanted towards the convenience store space. So we're looking at that being the next vertical that we see progress in. Next question is, in 20 seconds or less, explain what we do for our customers. So we do three things for our customers. Number one, we bring together all of their sales and consumer information from all store locations and marketing channels into one place. Second, we organize all this information so that consumer behavior is better understood and insightful. And third, we then leverage the insight from that data to increase consumer loyalty and spend. Next question is, help us understand the pain points you address for your customers. So our customers have dozens to thousands of physical locations with cash registers or point of sale systems, plus likely a web storefront and maybe even a smartphone ordering app. So all of these points of sale are collecting a ton of valuable data, yet that data is disorganized and it's fragmented across all these physical locations and digital channels. Additionally, the consumers are being reached through a myriad of marketing channels, from print advertising to TV to radio to email to loyalty programs and more. So trying to bring all of that point of sale data together with data from all these marketing channels to figure out what's working, let alone improving marketing efficiency, creates a huge amount of wasted marketing spend. The current pandemic has put a big spotlight on this problem. Forward-thinking brands like some of our customers who had started putting technology like ours to work before the pandemic are surviving, while others who can't figure out where to put their dwindling marketing budgets are starting to go out of business. So there's a lot of pain coming from both the impetus to be more efficient with capital, but also trying to transition from what's usually been traditional marketing approaches like TV to digital, and we help relieve those pain points and get brands operating digitally very quickly and cost efficiently. Another question here, your service offering centered around 7 components of what we call our Recurrency Platform. And if we could go through some use cases of each of these components. So the first component is our point of sale data capture. So think about Amazon. Again, they're operating one storefront and it's a website. And if you think about offline brands like Subway, they operate thousands of locations with physical point of sale terminals. So just collecting all of the information from these physical locations is challenging, let alone organizing that information so it's useful. So for example, if you visited several Subway locations in the same city and bought a 6-inch turkey sandwich, you might see this item spelled a number of different ways in your receipt. So our point of sale data capture technology collects billions of these transactions into one place, and then we use machine learning to automatically organize the data, and this then allows the brand to leverage analytics and optimize their marketing. The second component is our analytics, which are powered by machine learning. And the use case there for that is, our platform delivers rich insights through automated reporting tools that allow brands to understand how their promotions and products are performing. For example, knowing how many times consumers have bought $5 footlongs may not tell you if the consumers responding to the $5 promotion are actually changing their overall behavior to create a sustainable increase in sales and profitability. In other words, knowing that Dennis bought 3 $5 footlongs over the last 3 months doesn't reveal if he's going to visit more often and spend more after the promotion. So our platform leverages machine learning and other data science techniques to enable simple, automated reporting features that deliver these insights. Third, our offers and promotions feature. So there are more ways than ever for consumers to receive and use offers and coupons. Paper-based coupons might arrive in the physical mail. An offer might be received through email, or maybe the consumer opens up their app on their smartphone and there's an offer in their app account. But the problem just doesn't end there. Then the consumer might want to use the offer at a physical store, or maybe online through a website order, or even ordering through a smartphone app. So our solution allows the brand to deliver one offer to the consumer across multiple channels, such as email, SMS, or even in their app, and then redeem that offer across multiple channels. So they may have gotten an offer in their app, and they may redeem it at the store. They might have gotten an offer in the mail and they may redeem it online. So this offer and promotion solution that we've built, which you can experience it at Subway and some of our other customers, it prevents consumers from abusing offers by maybe redeeming the three copies of the same offer. So it really unifies the offers and promotions programs across multiple marketing channels and then multiple points for redemption. Fourth is our predictive offers capability. So thanks to our experience processing billions of purchases, both with and without promotions and offers, our machine learning algorithms can help create offers and promotional programs prescribed to improve guest frequency and spend. Sending the right offer at the right time to the consumer is far more effective than blindly sending a one-size-fits-all promotion. And our technology can help predict which offers will perform better than others. Next is our personalized receipt promotions. So, there's no better place to market to the consumer than when they're at the store having just completed a purchase. Our personalized receipt technology can deliver one or more targeted offers directly onto the consumer's printed receipt. So for example, say the consumer buys a sandwich and doesn't buy a drink. Then their receipt prints a strong offer to add a drink to their next order, therefore increasing spend on their next visit. Next is our customized mobile messaging features. We call this unified messaging. This solution leverages SMS text messaging as well as multimedia mobile messaging to engage consumers on the most trusted and valued channel, which is really their messaging inbox. The average consumer checks their SMS inbox 47 times per day, and 97% of text messages are viewed within 15 minutes of receiving them. So these programs are as simple as a consumer sees a poster asking them to text pizza to 12345, and they join the Papa Gino's text message loyalty program, and from there, Papa Gino's will periodically send out a coupon through a text message or a multimedia message to their phone. In fact, we just had a press release today for an award that we had won related to the Papa Gino's text messaging program. In that study, they discovered that SMS text messaging outperformed their email promotions by something like 14 times. So it's a very highly effective channel. And then lastly is our Belly loyalty solution. This is a platform that provides out-of-the-box loyalty capabilities aimed at increasing guest frequency. Essentially, a brand can set up a program where consumers can check in by scanning a smartphone app, and that records their visits to the brand, and the brand can set up all sorts of rules, giving consumers different rewards for the number of visits in a certain period of time. Say visit 4 times within 30 days and get X, or if they're trying to incentivize consumers to visit during slow days or day parts. Maybe the afternoon is usually a slow period of time for the business, so they'll give consumers extra points for visiting during those day parts to increase guest frequency. So those are some use cases for various components of our product. Next question here is, does your service only work for end users that opt in through a website or an app? This is a yes and no answer. So again, our goal is to help the brand increase guest frequency and spend across all of their marketing channels and their points of sale. So for direct engagement channels like SMS text messaging, then of course the answer is yes, we require an opt-in from the consumer because that's the best practice. We don't operate any campaigns that send unsolicited text messages to consumers. So the answer there is yes on the opt-in, but of course there's no app or website required because the SMS programs just run through the consumer's standard text messaging app. But for some of our other features like our Belly loyalty solution, there is a smartphone app that the consumer would download and install in order to partake in the brand's loyalty program. And then For our offers and promotions capability in the platform, that is a solution that can work with all of a brand's marketing channels. So we can generate codes that the brand could print on physical mailers or other print channels. They could put these codes on receipts, printed receipts. They could put scannable codes in the loyalty app or on text messages, etc. So we really, our platform is a comprehensive solution that doesn't focus necessarily on an opt-in or a website or an app, but really touches everything. All right, we have some additional questions here that are related to how we generate revenue. First question is specifically that point on how we generate revenue. So our revenue model is very straightforward. We charge recurring licensing fees in the form of monthly or annual recurring contracts. There's a small portion of our revenue that might be non-recurring, where we are doing some professional services work, where we might help the brand design their campaign, or sometimes there's technical work where the brand will hire us to integrate some of our capabilities with some of their other technologies that they have at work. But very simply, we have a standard services agreement that we sign with our customers and sets up recurring licensing fees depending on the size of their brand and the features that they want turned on from our software. Next question is, what is the average length of your service contracts with your customers? So for smaller brands, say with less than 20 locations, it's typically a monthly agreement. But with larger brands, we usually engage in annual contracts with terms anywhere from 1 to 5 years. And again, sometimes, the length of the agreement dictates some of the financial terms. So, we like to get customers committed for long terms if we can, and that gives our business good revenue clarity and visibility going forward. Next question, did you receive any kind of performance or usage bonus, or are the contract fees just typically flat fees? So again, for smaller customers, they're typically flat fees, just a fixed monthly recurring price tag. Sometimes that's paid annually. Other times it's just billed monthly. For larger customers, so when we think about some of our large customers like Subway or Baskin-Robbins, those customers will pay additional fees above a contracted minimum. So we'll sign up a contract that says the brand owes X guaranteed for its minimum licensing fees, but that contract accommodates a certain capacity or usage. In other words, maybe so many text messaging programs or so many loyalty users. And if they go above that minimum, then they pay for those fees in excess of their contract minimum. We're also starting to experiment with performance-based fees, where the customer base pays a percentage of revenue generated from the use of our platform. So we have one customer right now, for example, where they have a minimum annual licensing fee, but there's a stipulation in the contract that dictates if the revenue from the program they're running from our software exceeds a certain amount, then we get a percentage of that amount, and then they owe us in licensing fees either the fixed minimum or the revenue share, whichever is greater. And we've actually seen that contract perform where the revenue share is greater than the contract minimum. So I think it just underscores a unique capability of the fact that since we're in the point of sale data, it's very clear for our customers to see what part of their revenue we're impacting. And that gives us greater flexibility on some of these more creative possibilities for revenue license structures relating to performance and not just fixed minimums. So next question, if your solution did not exist, how could customers solve the problems Mobivity solves? So this is a tough question. but at the same time, I think it underscores the core value of our platform. And that is that one of the key issues in solving the problems that Mobivity solves is just the fact that a brand would need to find multiple vendors to solve all of the different things that our platform's solving in one unique solution. So first, the customer would have to solve the data problem by likely hiring a team of consultants to engineer and implement some form of data capture across all their locations, and then implement third-party tools to organize that data. They would then need to find a text messaging provider, a loyalty platform, figure out how to perform receipt advertising, and then develop offers and promotion codes that would work on all these various solutions. So all of that would arguably require far greater time and capital to achieve versus our solution that brings all of that together in one platform. Another question we have here, how are your services different from customer reward apps that are typically used by restaurants and other businesses? So our product goal is to influence all of the customers for a brand and not just those customers willing to join a loyalty program. You know, even the best performing loyalty programs only see a 20 to 30% of their customers joining the loyalty program. So if you want to influence the behavior of the other 70 to 80% of your customers, then, you know, loyalty and reward programs won't really help you there. So again, it kind of points back to that one platform solution. And, you know, loyalty apps, again, really only help you influence consumers that are willing to join the loyalty program. I mean, if you're Starbucks, you might see 20 to 30% joining the program. You know, most of the time, brands are seeing 5 to 10% of their customers joining the loyalty program. So it's not just loyalty. If you really want to make an impact on your business, it's actually the other way around. You have to figure out ways to influence the customers that don't want to go as deep into a relationship as a loyalty program. And that's the key difference, is we're looking at all of the customers versus a small percentage like loyalty programs and apps. So as a follow-on question, it's asked, how does Mobivity move faster and accelerate growth given the tailwinds created by the pandemic and the digital transformation movement? So the answer to that is, you know, I'd like to point to a partnership strategy that we just launched this last year with Pepsi. We were approached by Pepsi. In fact, if you take the restaurant industry as a whole, one nuance to the industry is the CPG companies, and particularly the beverage companies like Pepsi and Coke, they usually sign long-term volume commitment agreements with restaurant operators. And that's why if you go to Chick-fil-A, you're only going to see Coke products. And if you go to Pizza Hut, you're only going to see Pepsi products when it comes to beverages. And historically, the beverage brands have allocated hundreds of millions of dollars in co-marketing budgets that they allocate to these restaurant partners. Traditionally, that money has gone to legacy and analog marketing, everything from menu boards where you might see a Pepsi logo on it, to even helping support print advertising for signage. Just make sure there's a Pepsi product in the poster or the newspaper ad. And with Pepsi Digital Labs, the goal there is, in this actually being launched pre-pandemic, was knowing that the future was digital. Pepsi wants to help its customers adopt digital technologies, and in some cases even pay for that. So with this Pepsi Digital Labs partnership that we consummated essentially before the pandemic, and have since in fact launched some pandemic relief programs alongside Pepsi, it's giving us a selling partner to essentially half of the restaurant space. And when we think about the several hundreds of billions of dollars up for grabs in the restaurant space, you know, this gives us a very efficient and high velocity path to at least half the marketplace. And we like the Digital Labs partnership, because it's concentrated on restaurants, but of course Pepsi, who also owns Frito-Lay and all of the Doritos and all of the snack products, will create a segue potentially to the convenience store market as well as the grocery industry. In fact, I spoke of a large grocery opportunity earlier this year that we're still pursuing a relationship with. So those seem like logical vertical markets that will be next for us. And by having a partnership with a Pepsi, we have at our disposal a partnership where there's a lot of marketing resources, existing brand relationships, and a sales force in the hundreds of Pepsi reps that are out in the marketplace helping restaurants perform better. And now we're a big arrow in that quiver, and that allows Mobivity to leverage a lot of sales and marketing resources to a very large portion of the market that segues into other markets such as convenience store, grocery, et cetera, without having to invest in our own sales and marketing resources, or at least a fraction of what we would need to invest in had we just pursued the marketplace and some of these other verticals organically by firing up our own sales teams and marketing resources at scale. So that's the primary path that we see to accelerating our business is through partnerships like the Pepsi Digital Lab. It just got going this year. The pandemic has created its own challenges, but lately we're really seeing the program start to get off the ground. We have a bunch of marketing content and programs that we've been working on in collaboration with Pepsi, and we're going to start seeing those programs hit the marketplace here very soon. So it's really about key strategic partnerships that offer large distribution opportunities to big portions of our target vertical markets. And that's how we'll accelerate our growth and do it very efficiently. Another question here: how is your point of sale targeted advertising functionality different from traditional back of receipt advertisements? So this is pretty straightforward. If you've seen ads on the back of receipts, those are pre-printed. They come with the roll of paper, meaning they're not targeted at all. They're just static, fixed ads. And our receipt solution looks at the purchase information in real time as the receipt is being printed out. So it's looking at everything that customer just bought, along with any other pieces of data that we can get on that consumer. And in real time, while that receipt is printing, it's printing targeted content based on that information, again, in contrast to the back of receipt ads, which aren't personalized at all because they were printed months or years prior when that roll of paper was printed. So again, we're putting custom real-time content on the top of that receipt as it's printing that's targeted to that purchase versus the static information on the back of pre-printed receipts. So we're moving on to another question here regarding challenges and risks. This question asks, what do you see as the biggest challenge to your growth and your ability to convince customers to adopt your solution? So as most of you know, we are in interesting times right now, and things have changed pretty rapidly over the last 4 or 5 months that we feel have relieved a lot of what our changes in the past have included. So in the past, it's been really the inertia of traditional media, like print advertising, radio, television advertising, and that's really where the bulk of marketing budgets have been spent, particularly in the target vertical markets that we've been involved in over the last 5 or 6 years, namely the restaurant space. It was only up until the recent COVID pandemic where everything basically changed overnight to where now brands are thinking, low contact and trying to get consumers to order through digital channels as much as possible, order online, order ahead, order through the app. And then there's also been a sharp downturn in print advertising because again, they want low contact. They don't want print coupons being exchanged in and out of stores or consumers bringing things from home. And then TV advertising, especially sports, has kind of been turned on its head. And if you think about the restaurant industry, which again is our lead vertical, sports advertising was a mainstay of any restaurant brand's marketing budget. And so what's happened now is these brands have begun to consider data-driven and digital marketing with great urgency. You're hearing this transition from legacy and analog ways of marketing and doing business to digital methods is now being called, quote unquote, digital transformation. And now that we're well into the pandemic, this digital transformation has become an extremely hot category, and the market is sure to get crowded and noisy. So we see our biggest challenge now going forward will be to capitalize on this lead that we arguably have, particularly in the restaurant space. We've spent the last couple of years evangelizing and getting brands to transition their marketing budgets to digital, and it's been very much an evolutionary process, and now it's becoming an extinction level event. So for us, it's going to be about capitalizing on this lead and then efficiently and effectively expanding to new markets such as convenience stores, retail, grocery, and others in an effort to achieve our vision for growth. So I just sum it up that our challenge now is acceleration. How do we move faster and keep the lead that we worked so hard to establish pre-pandemic? Next question, do you have customer concentration? If so, do you have a target of where you want customer concentration to be at? So the answer is yes. We do currently have some customer concentration given the sheer scale of some of our customers. Subway has more than 40,000 global locations. People don't realize there are more Subway restaurant locations than there are Starbucks and McDonald's combined. Some others, like Sonic Drive-In, another big customer of ours, operate over 3,500 locations across the US. They just joined the Inspire Brands family, which includes Arby's, Buffalo Wild Wings, and Jimmy John's. So that's an exciting opportunity for us because we like our chances of growing into Sonic's new peer group there at Inspire Brands. So while these customers have comprised a large portion of our revenues at our current scale, which we had pegged at about a $14 million run rate for 2020 here, we believe our addressable market is large enough to grow our annual revenue run rate such that these large customers become less than 10% of our total annual recurring revenue run rate over time. Ideally, we wouldn't want to have any customer exceeding 10% of our annual revenues. And again, if we can achieve our growth goals, then over time, these very large early adopter customers of ours should normalize to fit that model that we're pursuing. Next question, what do you think investors may not understand about your company? Well, there are a couple of things I think may not be obvious or well understood. Number one is the sheer scale of the total addressable market that we're pursuing. So the restaurant industry does over $900 billion in annual sales. And the average restaurant spends around 5 to 6% of revenues on marketing, meaning that the restaurant industry alone spends up to $50 billion per year on marketing. Add to that some other verticals such as convenience stores and retail, and Mobivity's total addressable market gets very big very fast. Secondly is the track record we have with very large brands. We're partnered with Google to help with their efforts to improve text messaging on Android phones. Pepsi selected us as their digital marketing partner for their Digital Labs program. And some of our customers like Subway, Sonic, Baskin-Robbins, and Chick-fil-A have all been customers for more than 5 years. So these are some big customers and partners who rely on our technology for important initiatives. And this should speak volumes to the quality and value we're delivering despite still being a relatively small company. For those that can appreciate the challenge of selling into large multi-billion-dollar organizations, part of the vendor selection process is a financial analysis. And so I think that's something I like to highlight with our company, that we've managed to swing way above our weight here in becoming important vendors to very large brands despite our current scale. So another question here is, how much of your revenue is recurring? So our goal is to generate the bulk of our revenue through recurring fees. That's the model that we're building at Mobivity, is a recurring licensing fee business, very much a software as a service, SaaS business model. And I'll point to, the first half of this year, for example, we've reported that, more than 90% of our revenues earned have been through recurring fees, recurring licensing fees. Next question is asking, when does Mobivity project it can achieve profitability, or is that even a near-term goal as you strive to grow revenue? So while our primary goal is continuing to pursue scaling revenue and growing market share, we have managed to make great strides in both profitability and cash performance this year. In the second quarter, our net loss narrowed by 72% compared to last year, down to a net loss of $726,000. And that's compared to a loss of $2.6 million in Q2 of 2019. And cash used in operations for the first half of 2020 fell to just $167,000 compared to $2.6 million during the first half of 2019. So we've long known that there is a point where we'll reach at a certain level of scale that we start to unlock the leverage of our operating model, which means that we have made most of the material investments in the product and with some of these early customers, so new revenue is just highly accretive. So it's a mix of, we think that we're already, and as reflected in our Q2 results, showing that profitability is achievable. But I also like to point back to the total addressable market being massive, and our goal is to grow revenue at scale, but all the while we've got a healthy operating model along the way. And the last question here, are you positioned to continue to grow and achieve profitability without the need to issue new debt or equity? So the short answer is yes. At our current growth velocity, we're capable of achieving profitability without new debt or equity financing. And again, I'd point to the strides we made in the second quarter there. So really only in a situation where we felt new capital would present a compelling opportunity to accelerate our growth rate, would we consider doing anything with new capital through debt or equity. And that wraps up our questions here from the community. Thank you.